Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So in my previous video, I did a review of A Little Life the Play, which I watched on the 15th of March. However, there was a lot of spoilers in that video. I think I was just so excited. I wanted to get all my thoughts and feelings out into a video, and I put it out there, and then I realized that no one really would have seen it at that point. This show's going to go on for 5 months, but there's going to be a lot of people that want to hear my thoughts and kind of hear me talking about it, but without giving anything away. So here it is. This is my spoiler-free version of A Little Life, the play, which opened in London's West End on the 25th of March. So I actually went to see it on the 15th of March at the Richmond Theatre. They did a 1-week preview, I think, of like 5 shows at the Richmond Theatre. They then had like a one week break, and it just opened on Saturday, 25th of March in London at the Harold Pinter Theatre. That will run till June, where it will then close and reopen for July and August at the Savoy Theatre. In all the years I've been going to see theatre and play and musicals, I've never heard of a show that spans 3 different theatres. You often get like a West End transfer, so it'll start at like the National Theatre and then it'll move into the West End. But I think the demand for this show has just been insane. So therefore they've had to keep increasing the dates and therefore move theatres, because theatres are booked, years in advance by productions. So I think it's really exciting though that the demand has driven the producers of A Little Life to continue the run, and the actors have been able to commit. So I think that's really exciting. But somehow, by the grace of God, I was able to secure a ticket. I don't know how, because to just get these tickets was insane anyway. If you tried, you'll know what I mean. It was kind of like as bad as trying to get Beyonce tickets via Ticketmaster. I failed initially for the first release, and then I kind of failed for the second release, and somehow they then announced that they were going to release a limited number of tickets for stage seats. So this production uniquely has a bunch of seats that are on the stage, part of the set. So they then released a batch of stage seats for the Richmond Theatre and Harold Pinter Theatre. For some reason, I think because it's considered a restricted viewed seat, they're selling them, or they were selling them, for £35. And by the grace of God, somehow through luck, sheer luck, the process was entirely based on luck, I was able to get 2 tickets for the second night at the Richmond Theatre. So I saw it during its previews, and that was exciting in itself. But I think the West End run is going to have a very different vibe, I think a very different feel. They normally do. But I was just glad that I got to see it. And actually, I'd finished reading the book a week before, so I was still living in that world. I was still kind of crying over the characters, and they were still part of my daily thought process, and I was still kind of reflecting on the book. And so for me, it was a real surreal experience, kind of going straight from the book, which is a very intense experience and journey. If you've read it, you'll know what I mean. It's extremely intense, to then go straight into the a live version of it was just insane. Like, normally if you go and if you read a book, the movie might come out like a year later, or 3 years later, or 5 years later. So therefore you have that time to kind of move on with your life. But I didn't really have much time to move on with my life, and therefore it made the show even more, hit me even harder. It was just like, yeah, I'll go on to talking about that. So anyway, let's talk about stage seats. So the stage seat was £35, and literally it was 4 rows of seats behind the main set on the stage. So basically we were asked to come half an hour before the show started. So uniquely, this show begins at 7 p.m. Most shows start at 7:30. This one starts at 7. It's 3.5 hours long, only 1 interval, so it's really intense. And they asked us to come half an hour early, by 6:30. We needed to be there in line at stage door for 6:30 with a wristband that we had to collect from the box office. We were then lined up in seat number order. So when we entered the stage, we were like in line for our seat. So you weren't kind of like climbing over each other, which made sense. We had to have kind of like we weren't allowed to take drinks onto the stage from the bar. The only thing that was allowed was bottles of water. And basically, they then put our phones into individual pouches, which they then locked. And we could keep those phones, but the only way to open them was during the interval. We had to go to the bar and they opened it for us, or at the end of the show. Which, to be fair, I wasn't that bothered about. I was so excited to kind of just forget about everything else. And yeah, the fact that I could lose my phone and not sort of be interrupted by it, I was more than happy for. And I know since then, there's been like this case where someone from the main kind of seating area, the stalls or the gallery, had actually taken pictures of James Norton and basically leaked them to the press. So James Norton is naked for a lot of the show. There's several scenes where he takes his clothes off and he's completely naked. And someone had basically, even though even the main audience weren't allowed photography, they couldn't block everyone's phone away. But somehow some idiot basically took pictures of James Norton completely naked and then sold them to the Mail Online. There was this, I'm sure if you've heard, you might have heard about it. There was this big kind of outrage on Twitter, and then the Mail Online pulled it down. But then, subsequently there was a lot of articles saying, should cameras be banned altogether within the theatre, and should phones be kind of, be made, should like people not being able to access their phones be made a mandatory thing. I think it would work more so for shows that with big celebs like A Little Life has. You couldn't do it for every show, it'd just be too much work. Already doing this for a small number of people, I think there was 30 of us on stage, it was already quite a lot of work for the theatre staff. So I think the question, the conversation does need to be had, because if you're a celebrity signing up to a show and you're going to take your clothes off and be quite vulnerable, it was quite, I can imagine it's a really vulnerable experience being on stage naked that many times a week for that many people over 5 months. I completely admire James for being able to do that. So then to know that there's a potential that people could take pictures of you and then put it on the internet, I think a conversation does need to be had, and hopefully A Little Life have figured it out quite early on in the run. This happened at the Richmond Theatre, so hopefully they put things in place. But yeah, we weren't allowed to use our phones. We were then directed through backstage, which was also really exciting to kind of see all the all the backstage people working, and we were taken through backstage onto the main stage, where we were then sat we had to be on stage kind of like 15 minutes before the show started. But by that point, the cast were already on stage, because this production starts with the cast kind of being on stage for like 15, 20 minutes before it even starts, kind of in character. So it was quite nice to kind of get into our seats, like relax, just casually watch what was going on the stage, which wasn't very much, but just kind of start to relax and kind of get involved. Was a really nice way to begin the show. I did get a programme. It was £7 or £7.50, and it's quite basic. I think the cover is different for the West End run from what I've seen online. But interviews with Anya Yanakihara, which was quite interesting to read. Basically, her saying why she allowed it for it to be adapted for stage, and then there's an interview with the director, and then there's some nice backstage pictures from rehearsals, which is quite cool. And we were also given a leaflet by the theatre when we entered, basically with the runtime, 3 hours 40 minutes, including one 20-minute interval. Act 1 was 1 hour and 50 minutes, and Act 2 is 1 hour and 30 minutes, which for a show this long normally would have 2 intervals. Like, so many plays I've seen that are like over 3 hours would have 2 intervals, but I think because it's so packed, this show is like non-stop. You don't get time to breathe. So they've already cut it down from 4 hours, which was the Dutch version. So the fact that they've only allowed 20 minutes within 1 hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes, just for people to stretch their legs and get a drink, I think even that for them was probably pushing it. So yeah, and another thing was a week before the show, I received an email from the theatre basically talking about trigger warnings, and really they've taken this whole the trigger warning thing really seriously. Even when you enter the theatre, there's a lot of signage about trigger warnings, and so this leaflet has some trigger warning information on there. But yeah, I received an email a week before about trigger warnings, and on the day, like a few hours before the show, I received an email from the Richmond Theatre about trigger warnings. And I don't know, I'm sure it will be pretty much the same for the Harold Pinter run and the Savoy Theatre run, because I think they're really trying to drive the message home about, what. And because some people might just go not knowing anything about it, not having read the book, and be like, what the hell? Like, seriously. I do know when I went to see it, 2 people walked out, and they walked out at really intense moments of the show. So yeah, I think that's going to happen at every show, to be honest, because there is going to be a lot of people who are going because it's a, very sought after ticket, and the marketing has been really extensive for this, and it's kind of been labeled the play of the year. So I think people are going to be quite in for a shock if they don't know what it's about. So I'm just going to talk kind of like generally about my thoughts and feelings without giving too much away. Overall, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good adaptation of the book. It isn't the book with it doesn't give you what the book gives you, but I think that's fine. I wasn't expecting to get what I got out of the book. And what I mean by that is, the book just takes you on this journey like no other. It's probably one of the most beautiful things I've ever read. It's taught me about love and loss and pain and, survival and trauma. And it's taught me so many things about my own relationships. I still think about those characters every day. And I don't think you get that necessarily from the play as a standalone piece. For me, the play enhanced my love for A Little Life, but I think if you haven't read the book and you're going to see it, you will enjoy it for what it is. It's a great piece of theatre. The cast is just amazing. I mean, James Norton, it just does an incredible job for those 3 hours 40 minutes, because he doesn't really leave the stage. And I think all of them together, Amari Douglas and Luke Thompson as well, just does a fantastic job. I think the chemistry between all the actors is incredible, but I think it's a really good adaptation. You don't walk away feeling like, sometimes you watch a movie of a book and you think, oh God, there's so much that they left out. And I think, even though they've cut a lot out of this show, of the play, because the book is so intricate, it's so layered, I don't feel you leave feeling like disappointed, because you can't create something that lives up to this book. And I don't think that's been the intention. The intention has been to tell the story of Jude, Willem, Malcolm, and JB. So I think that for me, if they've done its justice, and it's a standalone piece that people can watch without having read the book. However, I would recommend people read the book before they go and see it, because it would just give a lot more context. I did find that because it's such a fast-paced show, if I hadn't have read the book, you might feel lost in some places. You may not understand the way things are happening, because what they've done is they're bringing in multiple characters at the same time to represent past and present. And if you've not followed Jude's story, for example, you may get lost in that. And there was times where I had to turn to my friend and say, do you understand what's happening? Because I kind of didn't want him to not get it and be transformed, really blown away by this play. I really wanted, it was kind of like my goal to make sure that he felt half as much as love as I do for A Little Life. So let's quickly talk about staging. For me, staging is really important, because I think it really makes or breaks a play. I've seen some things where the story's been mediocre, but the staging's been incredible, and that really elevates your experience. So for me, they've done a really good job at creating the entire world of A Little Life on one platform. At any given time, basically, there's several things going on depicting different characters, worlds, and I thought that was really smart. The prosthetics of the show obviously are incredible. It's just mind-blowing the way they tell the self-harm aspect of the story and kind of keep it going over 3.5 hours. I don't want to share too much about some of the other aspects of the things of the show I loved when it came to staging, because it will give it away and it will kind of ruin that surprise. Or you can go watch my heavy spoiler version of this review. But I think they've done it's really simple. It's not overly complicated, but they've used some really interesting tricks with projection and also music and lighting to really bring the world to life. As someone sitting on the stage, my experience was really surreal, because I felt as I was in the world, like part of the story in a weird way. So basically, I was sitting in the front row of the stage seats, and basically in front of my knees was the sofa that lines the back of the set. So there were times where the actors were sitting on that sofa during the show, and I could just kind of like put my hand out and touch their face. That's how they were like there. And that was just really incredible, like for me, because having lived in that world for a month reading the book, I was then kind of part of the world for real life in a bizarre way. Because as you get deeper into the play, you do start to really see these characters as the people in your head. So to then sit on the stage and be able to experience that was just, I think, for me, the icing on the cake. It literally was a gift. You also forget that there's an entire audience sitting on the other side, which for me, that was kind of my main concern going into the stage seats, is like I knew how vulnerable this show was going to make me, and the fact that I was probably going to cry, which I did multiple times. And I thought, how can I be that exposed to the audience? And I don't know if people could see or not see from that far, because I couldn't, even though you can see them because of the lighting and everything, it's very difficult to see people's faces. But you forget that there's this sheet of people like in front of you, and you're just fixed by what's going on the stage. But I wouldn't say it was distracting at all. What was really interesting is that when there were scenes that I couldn't really watch because of how gruesome it was, I was looking out at the audience, and they were kind of looking at the scene or looking back at me because they couldn't watch either. So that in itself kind of created a little bit, even though you couldn't really make eye contact, but it created that kind of connection between people that were on the stage and kind of in the main seats in the stalls or the gallery. But generally, I really enjoyed the stage experience. I think it would be incredible if more shows could do that. It almost felt like a studio space, even though it was like a really traditional theatre. For us, actually sitting there felt more like we were in a studio. Maybe if you're going to like the Young Vic or something, where it's quite an intimate thing. So because this story is so intimate, it really enhanced that experience. So I feel really grateful to have had a chance to see it from that angle. We were given a really short intermission. For the intermission is 20 minutes, but we were only allowed 10 minutes because they wanted us back on stage, before in good time, so they could start on time, right? So we were only allowed a 10-minute break, which was fine. Because I was itching to kind of get back. What else can I tell you? It was really good sitting there because you could really get the smells that were coming from the sets. Again, I'm not saying too much, but there was times where you could really smell certain things, which was really fun. And I wouldn't say that the view was restricted. There was a couple of scenes where they were doing, like, the actors were doing monologues and they were facing the main audience, but then they would kind of flip their heads a little bit. So I wouldn't say we felt we were kind of missed out on anything, or we didn't really get to see everything, or there was kind of, it was absolutely fine. They've done a really good job of acknowledging the fact that there are also people behind. So in that respect, no problem at all. I think if you've got stage seats, you're going to have a really great time. I have actually got another ticket for sometime in May to go to this Harold Pinter Theatre. So I'll be seeing it from the stalls, which I'm also looking forward to, just from seeing it from another angle. I think I want to see this show a few times before it closes. And I don't want to share anything that right in this video. I don't want to share things I didn't like. There were a few things that I felt slightly let down by, maybe, but that's just my own opinion. There were moments where I felt were slightly, maybe a little bit amateur. Maybe that's not the right word, but I think maybe what the problem might be is that being a Dutch director, maybe there is a slight, ever so slight language barrier. Maybe, I don't know. Like, I'm thinking about it, but there was just moments in some of the dialogue I felt it was a little bit panto, but that's kind of a minor criticism. And yeah, I don't really want to share what else I didn't like about it, because I think it's quite a you know, we're all going to come away with our own opinions, and based on our vision of what this show should be, because it's a story that so many people have read. The community behind it is huge. So I don't want to give too much away in terms of like negative things, but overall, a really great experience. I think if you've got tickets to see it, you're gonna have an amazing time. If you haven't, there's a lottery that you can try. I still try it daily because I want to get tickets for friends. And I don't know, maybe go again. But I'm being greedy. But yeah, I would like to see it a few times. So enter the lottery on Today Ticks. And yeah, I think it's going to be a real like pivotal point in theatre, London theatre anyway. And I think whoever gets to see it is just going to be ridiculously fortunate, because it's a really great lineup of talented actors. You know, obviously standing ovation at the end, no questions asked. People were on their feet, because what they do for 3 hours 40 minutes, what James Norton does for 3 hours and 40 minutes is amazing. And just the fact that you can go through that night after night after night, I mean, they deserve awards and all the accolades that, you know, the theatre world can give them, because this is just, yeah, an amazing piece of theatre. And I think it's going to be a night that people are never going to forget. And people are going to then go on to read the book if they haven't. I, for one, I'm going to read the book again, maybe later on this year, maybe like when winter kicks in again. I plan to read it because I want to go back and revisit some bits that I kind of lost focus in. And yeah, I hope you know, everyone who wants to see it gets to see it, because the demand is absolutely crazy. And this is even without word of mouth, which normally kind of shows rely on after a couple of months of playing, right? So yeah, I'm gonna try and wrap it up now, because my camera keeps saying it's getting too hot. So yeah, let me know if you are going to see it in the comments, please. I'd actually love to know who is going to see it. So drop me a message in the comments below and let me know your thoughts, and you know, what you're excited about. And once you've seen it, go and watch my spoilered version of this review, because I talk a lot more about the details of the play in that. And I'm just so excited for this, guys. Like, it is so good, and I'm really glad I got to see it really early on, and I'm going to experience it in a couple of different theatres. And yeah, get some merch as well. The tote bags look really cool, and so do some of the t-shirts. So yes, very excited. Thank you so much for watching this. I hope I was able to give you a good viewpoint, and I shall see you in my next video. Have a good day, guys.